The woman my father was kissing in that hotel lobby wasn't a mistress. She wasn't a co-worker. She wasn't even a stranger. She was my girlfriend's mother. And when I confronted him, when I demanded answers, when I threatened to tell my mom, he looked me dead in the eye and said 7 words that shattered every single thing I thought I knew about my family, my life, and my own identity. Son, your mother already knows everything. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I've learned that my entire childhood was a lie. My parents' marriage was a performance. And the secret they've been keeping for 23 years is so twisted, so unbelievable, that when you hear it, you'll understand why I'm recording this from a motel room in another state, afraid to go home, afraid of what I've become part of. If you're just starting this story, hit that subscribe button right now because what I'm about to tell you is the most disturbing family secret you've ever heard. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there, because this story will make you question everything you thought you knew about the families that look perfect from the outside. Let me set the scene for you so you understand exactly how perfect everything looked before it all fell apart. I'm 23 years old. My name is Jake Riverside. I'm a recent college graduate working my first real job as a junior architect in Denver, Colorado. I still live at home to save money. My parents have a beautiful 5-bedroom house in Cherry Creek, and they insisted I stay until I could afford my own place. My father, Richard Riverside, is a cardiac surgeon, 52 years old, respected in his field, makes about $600,000 a year. My mother, Catherine, is 49, a former interior designer who stopped working when she had me. She volunteers, does yoga, hosts dinner parties. From the outside, we're the American dream family. Big house, nice cars, country club membership, annual vacations to Europe. My parents have been married for 25 years. They seem happy. They hold hands at dinner. They kiss goodbye in the morning. I've never seen them fight. Not once in 23 years. And then there's my girlfriend, Melissa Chen. I met her 6 months ago at a networking event for young professionals. She's 24, works in marketing, beautiful, smart, funny. We clicked immediately. Her family is similar to mine. Her father, David Chen, is a corporate lawyer. Her mother, Linda Chen, used to be a nurse but stopped working when Melissa was born. They live in a nice house in Highlands Ranch. They've been married for 26 years. 4 weeks ago, Melissa and I decided it was time for our families to meet. We planned a dinner at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, neutral territory. Fancy enough to be special, casual enough to be comfortable. My parents seemed excited. They asked about the cons, what they did, where they lived, normal parent stuff. But looking back now, I realize my dad asked too many questions about Linda. What she looked like, what she used to do for work, how old she was. I thought he was just being thorough, making conversation. I was so fucking naive. The dinner was 3 weeks ago. Saturday night. We met at the restaurant at 7 p.m. I remember every detail of that night because it was the last normal moment of my life. Melissa and I arrived first, then my parents. My dad wore a navy suit, my mom a cream-colored dress. They looked like they always did, polished, successful, happy. Then the cons arrived. Linda Chen walked through those restaurant doors, and I saw my father's face change. Just for a second. A flash of something, recognition, shock, panic, then it was gone. He smiled, extended his hand. Richard Riverside. Great to meet you. Linda shook his hand. Linda Chen. Lovely to meet you as well. But I saw it, the way her hand lingered just a moment too long. The way their eyes held contact a fraction of a second past professional. The dinner was fine. We talked about our jobs, our families, how Melissa and I met. My mom and Linda bonded over their shared experience of being stay-at-home moms. My dad and David discussed golf, but underneath the pleasant conversation, something felt off. My dad kept looking at Linda. My mom kept watching my dad look at Linda. And Linda's husband, David, seemed completely oblivious. At one point, Melissa excused herself to the bathroom, and Linda went with her. The moment they were gone, my mother leaned forward and whispered something to my father. Something sharp. His jaw clenched. He whispered back. She sat back, her smile frozen in place. When the women returned, we finished dinner, exchanged pleasantries, and parted ways. In the car ride home, I asked my parents what they thought of the cons. They're lovely, my mother said, her voice tight. My father said nothing. That was when I should have known something was wrong. But I didn't. I was just happy the dinner went well. 2 days later, everything unraveled. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button right now. Comment below if you've ever discovered a secret about your parents. This is just the beginning of the nightmare. It was Monday afternoon. I'd taken the day off work to help my dad with something at his office. He'd asked me to help move some furniture in his private office, said he was redecorating. We finished around 2 p.m., and he suggested we grab coffee. We went to a Starbucks near his hospital. How's work going? He asked. Good. Busy. Learning a lot. And Melissa? Things still going well? Yeah, actually. I'm thinking about asking her to move in with me. Once I get my own place. He stirred his coffee. That's great, son. She seems like a wonderful girl. She is. And her family is great too. I'm glad you and Mom got to meet them. Something flickered across his face. About that. About what? Jake, I need to tell you something. And I need you to not overreact. My stomach dropped. What's going on? I know Linda Chen. I've known her for a long time. Okay, from where? The hospital? No. From before. Before you were born. Before I married your mother. I set down my coffee. Dad, what are you saying? Linda and I dated. 27 years ago. Before I met your mother. Before she met David. We were together for about 2 years. You dated Melissa's mom? Yes. I laughed nervously. That's weird. Small world, I guess. Jake, there's more. More? We didn't just date. I was going to marry her. We were engaged. And then something happened, and we broke up. I met your mother a year later. Linda met David around the same time. We moved on with our lives. So why are you telling me this? It was almost 30 years ago. He took a breath. Because seeing her again brought up feelings. Old feelings. And I need to be honest with you. I've been in contact with her. We've been texting, meeting for coffee, talking about the past. The coffee shop suddenly felt too warm. Dad, are you having an affair? No, not yet. But I think I might still love her. Might? I wasn't whispering anymore. People were looking. Dad, you're married. You have a family. You can't just... I know all of that. That's why I'm telling you. Because I need help. I need to figure out what to do. What do? You stay away from her. You focus on your marriage. You don't destroy your family because of some old girlfriend. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. What about Mom? Does she know you've been talking to Linda? He looked down at his coffee. Your mother and I have an understanding. An understanding? What does that mean? It means our marriage is more complicated than you know. Complicated how? He stood up. I've said too much. Just know that I'm trying to do the right thing. And I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this. He left. Just walked out of the Starbucks, got in his car, and drove away. I sat there, my coffee going cold, my mind racing. My dad was emotionally cheating on my mom with my girlfriend's mother who had been his fiancée decades ago. I had to know more. I had to know what was really going on. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed him. I knew his schedule. He'd said he was going back to the hospital, but his shift didn't start until 6 p.m. It was only 2:30. I got in my car and drove to his usual route, and I saw his car, not heading toward the hospital, but toward downtown Denver. I followed at a distance. He parked near the Brown Palace Hotel. Fancy place. Historic. Expensive. I parked half a block away and watched. 10 minutes later, Linda Chen pulled up. She was dressed nicely. Too nicely for a casual meeting. They met in the lobby. And they kissed. Not a friendly kiss. Not a peck on the cheek. A full, passionate, I've been waiting for this kiss. I sat in my car, my hands shaking, and took photos. I don't know why. Evidence? Proof I wasn't crazy? They went into the hotel together. They didn't come out for 2 hours. When they finally emerged, they kissed again. Then they got in their separate cars and left. I sat there until dark, trying to decide what to do. Tell my mom? Tell Melissa? Confront my dad again? Pretend I didn't see anything? I chose the worst option. I confronted him immediately. I drove to my parents' house. My mom's car wasn't there. She was at her book club on Monday nights. My dad was in his study, still in his hospital scrubs, pouring himself a scotch. Jake, what are you doing here? I followed you today. I saw you with Linda. At the hotel. All the color drained from his face. Jake. You lied to me. You said you weren't having an affair. But I saw you. I have photos. Let me explain. Explain what? That you're a cheater? That you're destroying your marriage and her marriage? That you're making me complicit in this because I'm dating her daughter? You don't understand. Then make me understand. Tell me why you're doing this. He set down his scotch and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Resignation, defeat, and something else. Relief. Because, son, your mother already knows everything. Subscribe right now because what happens next will blow your mind. Drop a comment telling me what you think is really going on here. This story is about to take the darkest turn. I stared at my father, trying to process what he'd just said. Mom knows? She knows you're sleeping with Linda? Yes. And she's okay with it? It's complicated. Stop saying that. Nothing about cheating is complicated. You're either faithful or you're not. My father sat down heavily in his leather chair. He looked older suddenly. Tired. Sit down, Jake. I need to tell you something. Something your mother and I have kept from you your entire life. I didn't want to sit, but my legs felt weak. I collapsed into the chair across from his desk. 25 years ago, my father began. I married your mother, but I didn't love her. Not the way a husband should love his wife. What? You and Mom seem happy. We're friends. Partners. We respect each other. But we were never in love. Not really. Then why did you get married? Because I got her pregnant. With you. The room tilted. What? Your mother and I met at a charity event. We had a brief affair. She got pregnant. I'd just broken up with Linda a year earlier. A messy, painful breakup. I wasn't ready for another relationship. But your mother was pregnant, and I wanted to do the right thing. So we got married. So your entire marriage is a lie. No, it's a partnership. We built a good life together. We raised you. We were happy, in our own way. But we were never in love. Does Mom know that? About Linda? About you still loving her? Yes. Your mother has always known. From the beginning. And she was okay with that? My father looked away. Your mother has her own situation. What does that mean? Jake, your mother is in love with someone else too. Someone she's been with for 20 years. I couldn't breathe. Mom is having an affair? It's not an affair when both people know and agree to it. So what is it? An open marriage? More or less. We live together. We present as a married couple. But we both have other relationships. Discreetly. Carefully. We made an agreement years ago that we'd stay together for you. For appearance, for financial stability. But we'd allow each other to find happiness elsewhere. I stood up, my head spinning. This is insane. You're telling me my entire childhood was a performance? That you and Mom were pretending to be in love while you were both sleeping with other people? We weren't pretending to care about you. That was always real. You were always wanted, always loved. The rest was just complicated. Stop using that word. I was shouting now. Who is Mom sleeping with? Who's this person she's been with for 20 years? My father looked at me with something like pity. Jake, I don't think you want to know. Tell me. Your Uncle Mark. The floor disappeared beneath me. Uncle Mark. My mother's best friend. The man who'd been at every birthday party, every holiday, every important moment of my life. The man who I called Uncle, who gave me advice, who taught me to drive. My mother was sleeping with Uncle Mark, and my father was sleeping with my girlfriend's mother. I think I'm going to be sick, I said. I ran to the bathroom and vomited. When I came back, my father was standing by the window, looking out at the dark backyard. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, he said quietly. We never wanted you to know. We thought we could keep it hidden forever. Why are you telling me now? Because you deserve the truth. And because Linda and I are talking about making changes. We're tired of hiding. We want to be together openly. What about Mom? What about David? What about your marriages? Your mother and Mark want the same thing. We're all discussing options but options? You mean divorce? Maybe. Or maybe we stay married on paper but live separately. We're figuring it out. And what about me? And Melissa? Did you think about how this would affect us? Of course we did. That's the only reason we've waited this long. Waited? How long has this been going on? Linda and I reconnected about 6 months ago. We ran into each other at a medical conference. We started talking. Old feelings resurfaced. We've been seeing each other since then. 6 months? I've been dating Melissa for 6 months. You've been sleeping with her mother the entire time I've been dating her. We didn't know you were dating each other. Not at first. By the time we realized, things were already complicated. Complicated. There's that word again. I walked out. I couldn't be in that house anymore. Couldn't look at my father. Couldn't process what I'd just learned. I drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. And I ended up at Melissa's apartment. Tell me in the comments, should Jake tell Melissa the truth? Hit subscribe because what happens next destroys everything. I sat outside Melissa's apartment for an hour, trying to decide what to do. Did I tell her? Did I destroy her family the way mine had just been destroyed? Or did I keep the secret, become complicit in this twisted web of lies? Finally, I knocked on her door. She answered in sweatpants and a tank top, her hair in a messy bun. Jake, I wasn't expecting you. Come in. What's wrong? You look terrible. I walked into her apartment and sat on her couch. She sat next to me, concern on her face. Jake, you're scaring me. What happened? I need to tell you something. About my dad and your mom. Her face went pale. What about them? They're having an affair. I caught them today. At a hotel. They were together. Melissa stood up, shaking her head. No, that's not possible. My mom would never. I saw them, Melissa. I have photos. They kissed. They went into the hotel together. They were there for hours. Show me. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos. Her hand covered her mouth. Oh my God. Oh my God, this can't be real. There's more. My dad told me they used to be engaged. 27 years ago. They were going to get married. Then they broke up, and both married other people. But they've been in love this whole time. Melissa sat back down, tears streaming down her face. How long has this been going on? 6 months. Since before we started dating. So while we were falling in love, they were doing this behind our backs? Yes. She looked at me, her eyes full of pain. Did your mom know? This was the part I'd been dreading. Yes, my mom knew. Because she's been having an affair too. What? My parents have an open marriage. They've both been seeing other people for 20 years. They stayed together for me, for appearances, but they were never really in love. Melissa laughed bitterly. So our parents are all cheaters. That's great. That's just perfect. Melissa, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I had no idea any of this was happening. What are we supposed to do? Keep dating while our parents are sleeping together? That's disgusting. I know. I need to talk to my mom. Right now. She grabbed her keys and headed for the door. I followed. Melissa, wait. No. I need answers, and she's going to give them to me. We drove to her parents' house in Highlands Ranch. It was 11 p.m. The lights were on. Melissa used her key to let us in. Mom? Dad? Are you home? Her father appeared from the living room, wearing pajamas. Melissa? What are you doing here so late? Where's Mom? She's upstairs, getting ready for bed. What's wrong? Melissa pushed past him and ran upstairs. I followed. Her father followed us, confused. Melissa burst into her parents' bedroom. Linda was in a bathrobe, brushing her hair. Melissa? What? I know about you and Richard Riverside. Linda dropped her hairbrush. David, Melissa's father, stood in the doorway behind us. What is she talking about? Jake saw you today. At the Brown Palace Hotel. With his dad. He has photos. Linda's face went through a series of emotions. Shock, fear, resignation. David, she said quietly. We need to talk. No, David said, his voice shaking. No, you're not. Linda, tell me she's wrong. Tell me you're not cheating on me. Linda looked at her husband, and I saw genuine pain in her eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But yes, Richard and I have been seeing each other. David staggered backward like he'd been punched. How long? 6 months. 6 months. And you've been lying to me for 6 months? I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. You destroyed our marriage. Our family. For what? For some old boyfriend? He's not just some old boyfriend. David, I never stopped loving him. Not in 26 years. I married you because I thought I could move on. But I couldn't. I've been unhappy for decades. David turned to me and Melissa. Did you two know about this? We just found out today, I said. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. David looked at his wife with such pain, such betrayal. Get out. Get out of my house. David. Get out. Now. Before I do something I regret. Linda grabbed her purse and left. Just walked out of her own house. Her marriage in ruins. Melissa collapsed onto her parents' bed, sobbing. I sat next to her, not knowing what to say or do. David stood in the doorway, crying silently. And I realized, I'd just destroyed a family. By telling the truth, I'd blown up a 26-year marriage. Was I right to tell? Or should I have kept the secret? I still don't know. Subscribe and hit that like button. Tell me in the comments, did Jake do the right thing? This story has one more twist that changes everything. That night, Melissa and I stayed at her apartment. Neither of us went home. We just sat on her couch, processing everything, trying to figure out what it all meant. I can't believe my mom has been lying to us for months, Melissa said. To me? To my dad. While I was planning my future with you, she was planning her future with your dad. I know. My dad did the same thing. Do you think they're going to get married? Once the divorces go through? I don't know. Maybe. That would make us, what? Step-siblings? The thought made me sick. We're not related by blood. It's not technically incest. But it's weird. Really weird. How can we date knowing our parents are together? I don't know. We sat in silence for a while. Then Melissa said, I need to know everything. I need to know why. Why did my mom leave your dad in the first place? What happened 27 years ago? My dad said it was a messy breakup, but he didn't tell me details. Let's find out. She grabbed her laptop and started searching. Linda Chen, Richard Riverside, Denver, 1990s engagement. Nothing came up. Maybe they live somewhere else, I suggested. My mom went to nursing school in Boston. Maybe they met there. She searched again. Linda Chen, Richard Riverside, Boston, 1990s. Still nothing. But then Melissa found something. An old newspaper article from the Boston Globe, dated September 1997. The headline, Medical Student Accused in Death of Fiancé's Brother. Melissa clicked the article. And we read, Richard Riverside, a 25-year-old medical student at Harvard, has been accused of negligence in the death of James Chen, 24. Chen, the brother of Riverside's fiancée Linda Chen, died after a car accident in which Riverside was driving. According to police reports, Riverside and James Chen were returning from a bachelor party when their vehicle crashed into a telephone pole. James Chen died at the scene. Riverside survived with minor injuries. Linda Chen has stated that she holds Riverside responsible for her brother's death. He was driving drunk, she told reporters. He killed my brother, and I can never forgive him. The couple has called off their engagement. No criminal charges have been filed against Riverside. Melissa and I stared at the screen. My mom had a brother, Melissa said slowly. A brother who died. And your dad killed him. He wasn't charged, I pointed out. It says no criminal charges. But she said he was drunk. He drove drunk and killed her brother, and then they broke up. And she never told you about any of this? I never knew I had an uncle. She never talked about him. Ever. We kept reading, searching for more articles. We found a few more mentions of the accident, but nothing that added new information. James Chen had died. Richard Riverside had survived. Linda Chen had broken off the engagement. They'd gone their separate ways. Until 6 months ago. Why would she take him back? Melissa asked. If he killed her brother, why would she ever speak to him again? Let alone have an affair with him? Maybe she forgave him. Maybe she realized it was an accident. Or maybe, Melissa's eyes widened. Maybe your dad has something on her. Maybe he's blackmailing her. That's crazy. Is it? Think about it. She hated him enough to end their engagement. And now suddenly, 27 years later, she's risking her marriage for him? That doesn't make sense unless he forced her somehow. I didn't want to believe my father was capable of blackmail. But after everything I'd learned in the past 24 hours, I didn't know what to believe anymore. We need to talk to your mom, I said. We need to hear her side. Melissa called her mother. Linda answered on the first ring. Melissa, I'm so sorry. We need to talk. In person. Now. It's almost midnight. I don't care. Meet us at Jake's apartment in an hour. Tell me in the comments, what do you think really happened 27 years ago? Hit subscribe because the final revelation will shatter everything you thought you knew. Linda arrived at my apartment at 12:30 a.m. She looked terrible. No makeup, red eyes, wearing sweatpants and a hoodie. Nothing like the polished woman I'd met at dinner weeks ago. Melissa and I were waiting in the living room. My parents' house was only 10 minutes away, but I hadn't told them Linda was coming. I wanted answers without my father's interference. Linda sat across from us, her hands trembling. What do you want to know? Everything, Melissa said. Jake and I found an article about what happened in Boston. About James Chen. About the accident. Linda's face crumpled. You know about James. We know your brother died in a car accident and that Richard was driving. We know you blamed him and called off your engagement. What we don't know is why you're with him again after he killed your brother. He didn't kill James, Linda said quietly. The article said. The article was wrong. I was wrong. I blamed Richard for years, but he wasn't responsible. Then who was? Linda took a shaky breath. I was. Silence? What? Melissa whispered. I was the one driving that night. Not Richard. The accident was my fault. My mind reeled. But the article said. The article repeated what I told the police. I lied. I said Richard was driving because I was terrified. I was drunk. I was behind the wheel. I swerved to avoid a deer and hit the pole. James was in the passenger seat. He died instantly. Richard was in the back seat. He survived. Why would you lie about that? I asked. Because I was going to lose everything. I was in nursing school. If I was convicted of vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated, I'd go to prison. I'd lose my license. My entire future. So Richard made me a deal. What deal? He said he'd take the blame. He said he'd tell the police he was driving. He'd say he was sober, that it was just a tragic accident. The police would investigate, find no evidence of drunk driving, and drop it. Which is exactly what happened. Why would he do that? Melissa asked. Because he loved me. And because he felt guilty. He'd been the one who'd suggested we go to that bar. He'd bought the drinks. He felt responsible even though he wasn't driving. So he sacrificed his reputation to save you. Yes. But I couldn't handle it. I couldn't live with myself. My brother was dead, and it was my fault. And Richard was taking the blame. So I broke off the engagement and told everyone he was the one who killed James. I was a coward. I let him suffer for something I did. And then you married my dad, Melissa said. You built a whole life based on a lie. Yes. And I've regretted it every single day since. David is a good man. He didn't deserve to be my second choice. He didn't deserve to be married to someone who was still in love with someone else. So when you saw Richard again 6 months ago, I prompted. He told me he forgave me. For the lie. For blaming him. For everything. He said he understood why I did it. And he said he never stopped loving me. And I realized, I never stopped loving him either. But what about your deal? I asked. The one where he took the blame? Does anyone else know the truth? Linda shook her head. Only Richard. Only me. And now you two. So you've been living with this secret for 27 years? Yes. And it's destroyed me. Every time I look at Melissa, I think about James. About the brother I killed. About the lie I told. About the man I let suffer for my mistake. Melissa was crying. Why didn't you ever tell me about Uncle James? Because I couldn't talk about him without breaking down. Without confessing what I did. So I erased him. I pretended he never existed. I tried to move on. But you can't move on from something like that. It haunts you forever. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, I asked the question that had been burning in my mind. Does my mom know about what really happened in Boston? Linda looked confused. I don't know. Richard might have told her. Why? Because my mom is in love with someone else too. My parents have an open marriage. They've been lying to me my entire life. Linda's eyes widened. Catherine is having an affair? With my Uncle Mark? For 20 years. Oh my God. So apparently everyone's a liar, Melissa said bitterly. Everyone's been keeping secrets and destroying families and pretending everything is fine. I'm sorry, Linda said. I'm so sorry. I never wanted any of this to touch you. Either of you. But it did, I said. And now we have to figure out what to do with this information. Hit that subscribe button because what happens next will leave you speechless. Comment below. Should this secret stay buried? The ending will shock you. 3 days later, all 6 of us were in a room together. Me, Melissa, my parents, and Linda and David Chen. It was Melissa's idea. She said we needed to clear the air, to figure out what happened next, to stop lying and start being honest. We met at a neutral location, a conference room at a hotel. Everyone looked uncomfortable. David looked broken. My mom looked angry. My dad and Linda looked guilty. Melissa stood up first. Okay, let's lay out the truth. All of it. No more secrets. She pointed at my dad and Linda. You two have been having an affair for 6 months. You used to be engaged. But Linda called it off after her brother died in a car accident that she blamed you for. Except we now know that Linda was actually driving. She lied and let you take the blame for 27 years. My dad and Linda both looked shocked that we knew. Melissa continued, pointing at my parents. You two have an open marriage. You've been seeing other people for 20 years. Catherine is in love with Mark, Richard's brother. You stayed together for Jake's sake but were never really in love. My parents looked at each other. My mom nodded slowly. And finally, Melissa said, pointing at her dad, David is the only one who's been faithful. The only one who thought he was in a real marriage. The only one who didn't lie. David wiped his eyes. I wish that made me feel better. So here's what's going to happen, Melissa said, her voice strong. You're all going to decide, right now, what you really want. No more lies. No more secrets. Are you getting divorced? Are you staying married? Are you leaving your families for each other? Decide. Now. My dad spoke first. I want to be with Linda. I've always wanted to be with Linda. Catherine, I'm sorry, but I want a divorce. My mom didn't look surprised. I want a divorce too. I want to be with Mark. Openly. I'm tired of hiding. Linda looked at David. I want a divorce. I know that's cruel. I know you don't deserve this. But I can't keep pretending. I want to be with Richard. David stood up. Then I'll give you a divorce. And I hope you're both happy. I really do. Because I wasted 26 years of my life on someone who never loved me. He walked out. Melissa started crying. I put my arm around her. What about us? She asked. Jake and me? What happens to us? My dad looked at Linda. Linda looked at my dad. If we end up together, Linda said carefully, you two would be step-siblings, eventually. That's disgusting, Melissa said. We can't date if our parents are married to each other. You're not blood-related, my dad started. I don't care. It's weird. It's wrong. Melissa frowned. What are you talking about? The police report said. It said what I told them to say, Linda whispered. I lied. The room went silent. Even the refrigerator hum seemed to stop. I leaned forward slowly. Why would you lie about something like that? Linda squeezed her shaking hands together. Because James, my brother, he wasn't just drunk. He was high. High on pills. Pills he stole from the hospital pharmacy during his internship. I didn't want that getting out. My parents wouldn't have survived the shame. Our community wouldn't have survived the scandal. The Kuns were built on reputation. So you blamed my dad? I asked, my voice barely audible. I asked Richard to take the fall, Linda said, tears spilling. Not legally, just publicly. I begged him not to fight the narrative. I begged him to let everyone believe he'd been the reckless one instead of James. He agreed. He protected my family. And in the process, he lost everything. Melissa wiped her cheek. But, you broke up with him? Linda nodded. Because Richard wanted the truth to come out eventually. He wanted James to be remembered honestly. I couldn't let that happen. I told him if he said a single word, I'd deny everything. I'd destroy him. So he walked away from the woman he loved rather than expose my family. That's who your father really is, Jake. Not a monster. Not a blackmailer. A man who sacrificed his reputation for a family that wasn't even his. My breath hitched. I didn't know what to say. Melissa didn't either. And now? Melissa finally whispered. I didn't come looking for him, Linda said. He found me. At that medical conference. And when I saw him, really saw him, I realized I'd spent 27 years hating the wrong person. He saved my family. He protected my parents. He protected me. And I repaid him by abandoning him. She wiped her face. I'm not proud of it. I'm ashamed of it every day. But I love him. I never stopped. And I needed him to know that before it was too late. Melissa swallowed hard. What about Dad? Linda broke. Fully. I never meant to hurt him. I swear. He's been good to me. A good husband, a good father. But he never had my heart. I buried mine a long time ago, and when Richard came back, it all resurfaced. I sat back. My world didn't make sense, but for the first time in 48 hours, something finally clicked. Because none of this started with betrayal. It started with sacrifice. So what now? I asked quietly.